We are all about showcasing authors and supporting authors to become authorpreneurs. Natalie McQueen and Becky Norwood of Spotlight Publishing bring to you their Authors Spotlight and expert interviews. Success as an author hinges around well-thought-out marketing, which begins the moment you put your pen to paper or begin to tap the keyboard. Their expertise guides their authors to become #1 bestsellers, yet it doesn't stop there. The book establishes expertise, builds a business, and opens the doors to being seen, being read, and then being paid for their knowledge. Listen to this informative interview by Spotlight Publishing with Natalie and Becky.
Hey, David Knapp, it's wonderful to haven't seen you in a while, and it's nice to reconnect here.
Yep, it's always good to see good friends.
So we published your book, how long has it been? It's been almost
2015, July.
Already. Wow, how awesome. Well, it's so exciting to be able to just reconnect with you and see where you are now with the book, what's been taking place, how has it served you. And I want you, so if you'll introduce yourself and tell the audience the name of your book and what your purpose in writing the book, all this good conversation.
Great. Okay. Yeah, David Knapp. My wife and I, Crystal, live here in Mesa, Arizona. The book that I wrote actually came out of personal experience of what prompted it. The title of the book is I Didn't Know What to Say, Being a Better Friend to Those Who've Experienced Loss. And it came from the experience. I've had the unfortunate experience of losing 2 wives to cancer. And after my second wife passed, I had many friends come up to me after such a traumatic event again saying, Dave, I tried to sit down and write to you, but I didn't know what to say. And I thought, well, I do. I know what you could have said. And so I had a lot of people ask for opportunities ask me actually to come and speak. So I started doing that, and the demand for printed material on the lessons I'd learned began to grow. And actually, I'm convinced, Becky, that God even talked to me and says, Dave, don't hoard your lessons. So I began to put those down, and it took a while to write the book. It covers more than just being a widow or widower, more than just losing a spouse. It also covers other losses such as job loss, pet loss, friends, moving to a new location, various things like that. There's several chapters there, 14 chapters in the book, but each chapter ends with a list of potential things. Well, instead of saying this, this would be better. Instead of saying this, this would be better. So it's actually a tool, a helpful tool for folks to understand, first of all, the grieving process from a griever's perspective, and then also some suggestions on how they could actually be a better friend to that griever. And yes, a lot of people who are going through grief read it and say, finally, somebody understands what I'm going through. They wrote it down here, and they're helped as well. But it's a big help for a lot of people. And the book has provided for me a platform to share my experience on a higher level. I've been able to speak around the country and around the world. A year ago, I was in Papua New Guinea doing a grief seminar, and it's partially because the book was out there, and they say, hey, can you come and help us there? Also, I'm an adjunct professor at a seminary out of Houston, Texas, based on the book itself and so forth. So it's done well, and the oftentimes without major publication promotion, the book keeps selling. Amazon, Ingram Sparks, every month, and of course whenever the checks come, that's always a nice thing. But yeah, it's done well, and I actually have plans in the future to expand even more. Becky, I've got a second book in mind, so we're
you know, it's beautiful because I've watched the progression. For some reason, I always get the notifications even on Facebook, when people are liking your comments and everything, which is pretty fascinating because I know that it's still growing and a lot of things happening with it. And I remember while we were working on this process, you know, for those of us who have lost family members, and going through the pain of it all, because there's a certain huge amount of loneliness that goes with it, and adjusting. But on the other side of the scale, for those that when we have people that we care about that go through something like this, we don't often know what to say.
Right.
And you just feel it's such a loss to how am I going to help that person? What difference? But certainly doesn't help to ignore them.
No.
Or not really be there for them and stand by them.
Right.
So the process of your book, it's opened doors for you. You're speaking in many different places, and I know for a while you were even in the prisons,
Yes.
going and speaking there. So it's been a valuable tool for you to carry on kind of a ministry of sorts with this, hasn't it?
It has. It's actually opened up lots of doors for ministry. And just to be really current, last night my wife and I were in a meeting at a church, and a missionary who happened to be home on furlough shared how that their son they'd had a daughter, I guess it was, that died 3 or 4 years ago, and their son did not grieve it. He was a teenager and didn't grieve at that time, but then this weekend started grieving that loss. And so I was able to come up to him and talk to him, gave him reference about the book. He got excited. He said, I'm going to go on Amazon on Kindle and get this. And so opportunities are just ongoing, because really, the fact is that within the next 12 months, nearly everybody that will have someone that they, in their sphere of influence, who will go through a severe loss of some kind. And you have a choice either to be able to step in and help, or just ignore them like most people do and let the opportunity pass. And my goal is to have a tool available so that people can step in and be a help.
I know that we worked recently with a gentleman, and it's on a different topic matter, but I was thinking of you when we did this for him, because we've changed in our publishing practices now, where when somebody says, I want to publish a book, I'm like, you need to treat this book as a business.
Yep.
And so we now incorporate tremendous amount of marketing well before, during, and long after, because what we've seen is if somebody that publishes doesn't understand that just because you publish, there's over 1 million books being published every year on Amazon,
right.
just in the United States. And if you don't understand that it's a tool that you use, but it can get lost in the cobwebs of cyberspace if you don't promote your book, if you don't do something with it.
Yeah.
But what we did with him is through Vistaprint, his was on Stop Being Invisible, and it was for more people learning better ways to communicate. And he's become all over the world speaking with this as well. But he had a lot of little tip things on how to start a conversation in any kind of a circumstance. So we made him, through Vistaprint, those little credit card type of things as a reminder. And it has been quite the hit for him. And so
nice.
little things that make the difference that way.
Yeah.
So you're saying you have another book in here. What's the topic matter on that one?
Well, when I first started even anticipating writing the original, this book here, I was wanting to record some of the tools and some of the things I did to work through the grieving process. And that includes some spiritual aspects, as well as God's word actually being used heavily to help guide me through the process on the basics. But whenever I came to write this particular book, I didn't know what to say. I realized, no, I need to start with a broader concept here. I want to help a broad population here. So that's what I did. And this book is actually, anybody could pick it up, whether they're a Christian or not, that they would find great benefit there, although there is some Christian aspects to it. But my next book is kind of started from my idea of having a grievers devotional. kind of a book, but it actually is it's actually from there growing a little bit, but it is based on my experience of how God came and spoke to me. The title of the book revolves around loneliness. Turning loneliness into godliness is the title that I'm working with, and basically it comes from the Gospel of John, which is commonly section chapter 13 through 16, which commonly is called the Advent Discourse, where Jesus is talking to his disciples. And the thing that grabbed me dealing with grief and loss was realizing after Jesus was crucified, his closest people were not only afraid, they were grieving desperately. And I wondered, did Jesus do anything? He knew that would happen. Did he do or say anything to help prepare them for that, for him being gone? So I went back in his last message just to his disciples, and I found he did. In those chapters, chapter 13 through 18 actually, 11 times Jesus intermits, I'm leaving, by the way, I'm going away. Don't forget I said I'm going away. I'm going to be gone. 11 times. And intermingled in there is 15 things to do to help them work through their loss and deal with the loneliness, meaning he's not there with them anymore. They're alone. And so that's dominantly what the book is about. It's a great help. And since it's actually going to be a subject interest, the interest is going to be higher than just people who are lost, because
right.
Loneliness is a universal issue.
And loneliness can be so painful.
Oh, it's awful. And it's, how many songs are written about being alone, even right. Christian songs, there's nothing worse than being alone, a songwriter writes. So it's going to be, it's going to have a broader audience, but it comes from my experience of being so alone in the grieving process. That's how I came to understand this. So anyhow, yeah, it's turning loneliness into godliness. It'll be dominantly a Christian book, but I think people that are just casually interested in God's word will find great help in what it says.
I see that is probably also having maybe even a workbook or a journal type of book that goes
right.
with it, because that would make it even more powerful.
I agree, yeah.
So are you doing any like follow-up courses that you can offer to people that either are in that position or even that want to teach others? Because one of the things that we do focus on right now is when it's because we publish for a lot of people that are using their books to grow a business.
Right.
Is look at the bigger picture. So do you have a course that you can create that can do the work stuff for you? Can't be there always. Something that they like an online course where you prepare the videos in advance, you prepare the materials so they can digest. Those would be some powerful things that you can even use the book and put links to in the book to help kind of take it even further to be doing some of the work that where you can't always be everywhere at all times.
And that's right. And I've done that. I've recorded 8 one-hour teaching sessions already. And it is still in the, okay, now we've got to edit it and make it workable and get it published. But that is in the work. And I've already started the process by actually making the videos themselves.
That's very good.
In fact, one seminary in Texas is already using those videos as part of their curriculum. So now I can just take that material and edit it a little bit more, tweak it, and make it available online for folks. Because I do get that question. Even leaders of churches.
Right. Yeah.
I've had pastors come up to me and says, Dave, do you have anything online? None of my courses at the seminary I went to taught very much about grief. And I'm doing funerals all the time. Do you have something I can? And so, yeah, the demand's high out there.
So one of the things I discovered is, because I'm creating some courses for my publishing for people that just need to get started in the not even in the writing, but also in the marketing aspects of it.
Sure.
And I took a course, and the gentleman that taught the course suggested do the market research. So call people that have already picked up your book, that understand you and know you, and ask them questions and do your market research. And I started doing that. I went back to many of my former clients. I didn't call you, but I did. And what they said was, when you do your videos and when you do your the course, make sure that the videos are short. You can take an hour video and cut it up into 10-minute segments.
Right.
And that was their main request, was that we're busy people. We want the information, but we want to digest it in bite-sized pieces.
Right.
And so
I've done that with some of them. I have my YouTube channel. I've actually posted a few of them at samples on my YouTube channel.
Very good. So it's beautiful, and it's a lot of amazing things that can be done as a result of this, because when there's something about being an author that makes all the difference in the way you're perceived. And as busy and as many people as there are in the world, and as many books as are being published, there's still that esteem that is always thought of. You're looked at, if you can write a book, you're an expert in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful that you've been able to use it as a tool. So aside from the other thought that I wanted to share with you is, we've also, for the and you may know about this already, for the digital book, which for Amazon is Kindle.
Yeah.
We've been starting to also use draft to digital. Draft to digital it's easy to use, but it gets the book much wider distribution in the digital form.
Wow.
So you may want to check that out. It's not hard to do. If you need any help, I'd be happy to guide you on it. But it gets it out to about 10 other platforms that Amazon doesn't get it to. So
okay.
Pretty cool stuff. So
what'd you say it's called?
Draft to the number two digital.com. Yeah. So
great.
Very good stuff. So it's been a pleasure to kind of reconnect with you again and give your wife a big old hug from me. So let her know I always think of you guys, and if there's anything we can support you with, just let me know.
Great. Thank you very much. Good to chat again.
All right. Yeah, it's been beautiful. So anything else that you would like to share with anybody that might still be listening?
I guess now, right off the top of my head, I'm just saying all the work is worth it to press forward and make it happen.
Very good. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Authors hire Becky and Natalie of Spotlight Publishing for their guidance in treating their book as their business. Many authors have no idea where to start, how to market themselves, nor how to have a successful book launch reaching #1 bestseller. This often leads to discouragement and disappointment. Spotlight Publishing works with their authors to get seen, get read, and get paid for their knowledge and expertise. For more information, go to www.spotlightonyourbusiness.com. Spotlight Publishing. Your book is your business.